We zijn keurig op tijd.
Ja, ik had het zo druk. Ik moest voor mijn zuster koken. Die had ik voor lunch. En dan heb ik zoveel groenten gesneden. En dan heb ik mijn duim een beetje pijn gedaan. Van al het harde werk. Van al het werk.
In de spieren of in het gewricht?
Ik weet het zelf niet. Maar het gaat beter hoor. Als ik in de loop van de dag. Maar 's ochtends is het een beetje moeilijk.
Stram.
Ja, een beetje stram denk ik.
En waar woont u eigenlijk?
Waar? Ik?
Ja.
In Den Haag.
In Den Haag, oh.
Ja. En mijn zuster is ook in de buurt, niet zo ver weg.
Oh, wat gezellig.
Ik had haar sinds de corona niet meer gezien. 3 maanden zo had ik haar niet meer gezien. Maar ze kwam met de hond.
Oh, wat leuk.
Ja. En toen hebben we piano gespeeld. Muziek gemaakt.
Wauw.
Ja.
Jullie kunnen het allebei?
Ja, voor 2 piano's muziek.
Wauw, wat gaaf. Bijzonder.
Ja. Ja, dat was leuk.
Gisteren was dat?
Ja, het was gisteren. Ja.
Ik heb mijn enkelband gescheurd. Daarom zit ik een beetje scheef.
Oh, wat vervelend. Hoe kwam dat?
Vorige week zondag ging ik met mijn moeder en mijn zus wandelen. Een heel mooi natuurgebied. En er was een paadje met heel hoog gras. Dus je zag niet dat er kuilen onder zaten.
Niet zien, oh ja. Dat is heel pijnlijk, ja.
Dus ik zit een beetje scheef en waarschijnlijk doe ik hem straks ook, ga ik even liggen weer op de bank. Dus dan doe ik het beeld uit.
Oplossing, ja.
Ja. Mag ik nog wat vragen?
Ja.
Want ik had u gemaild, hè? En deze Ajahn Sujin, die zit in Bangkok en dat is waar u naar refereerde in die mail, hè?
Ja, ze is in Bangkok altijd, ja.
Ja. Oké. Ik zit altijd in Chiang Mai, dus ik, tenminste...
Oh, je bent in Chiang Mai nu?
Nee, niet nu. Nee, niet nu.
Vroeger,
maar in die tempel is bij Chomtong, bij Chiang Mai in de buurt. Dus Dus ik had nog wel de wens om langs te gaan, maar ik ging niet via Bangkok. Dus dat was een ingewikkelde.
Ja.
ครับกราบท่านอาจารย์ครับ
อีก5 นาทีใช่ไหมคะ
ครับประมาณ5 นาทีครับ
ครับ
แต่ว่าปล่อยสายไว้อย่างนี้เลยนะครับ
I can't hear you. You have to unmute, Han.
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
Ja.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Hi. Hi. Lucas, glad you could make it today.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much.
Good. Hi, Carmen. Nice to see you as usual. And Ang and
Good morning.
hi, Sarah. Robert. Bung Tao group. How are you going, Lucas?
No, I'm okay. This week was good to me, you know. I'm working on some project with Matthew, so I'm busy, you know, a bit.
Oh, that's good. Better to keep busy and occupied, and especially with a good Dhamma friend like Matthias.
Hi.
Hi,
Everyone. How are you?
John and Sarah.
Hello,
Okay.
Betty.
Mom Betty.
What?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I see your lips moving, but cannot hear you.
Hello, Nina.
Hello, Betty. I see John is talking, but I cannot hear him.
Hello, Ajahn Jonathan, Ajahn Sarah, and everybody.
Hello.
My name is Deem. My name is Jira. I just come for the first time today.
Okay, good.
Thank you for listening.
Do you
Thank
have a
you for-
video? Can you turn the video on, Jira?
Who is Yak Yai Jai Heidi.
Yeah, I was reading that too.
Yak Yai Jai
Yak is his name. But I don't, he's for the first time, he says. I was busy cooking, Sarah, for my sister. I cannot hear you. Sarah, I cannot hear you.
Is your sister well?
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's my first time coming here.
Oh,
That's
very
nice.
glad to meet you. So your name is Gia, or?
Actually, I listen Dhamma from Ajahn in Thai language and many Ajahns in the foundation. So now I want to listen for all of you speaking. So I try to understand English and try to understand Dhamma in English also. So,
Very good, very good.
Please tell us your name again.
pardon me?
How should we call you? What is your name again?
My name is Jira and my nickname is Deem.
Okay, so we should call you Dim, Kundim. Yes,
Thank you.
nice to meet you, Kundim.
Nice to meet you too. I live in Thailand, Khon Kaen, Thailand, Khon Kaen province, northeast Thailand. Yeah. For many years ago, I went to practice meditation in meditation centers in Thailand. So when I understand Dhamma of Ajahn, I don't go to practice meditation again. So I just listen, try to understand Dhamma, the true Dhamma. Thank you.
Very good. So you're in the northeast now. You're in northeast Thailand now.
Yeah. Now I come to Bangkok, and my hometown is in Khon Kaen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very glad you can join us.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm here
And
now.
may I listen?
Yes.
Sometimes I don't speak anything. I listen all of you speaking in English.
That's fine. You're very welcome.
If I
Yes.
have anything to ask or I don't understand, may I ask you?
Please do. Please do. Yes.
Thank you very
I
much.
think that we can, if Ajahn is there, we can start. Ajahn, are you there now?
Yes.
Okay. Sawadika, Ajahn. Yes.
สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีค่ะทุกคน
Sawadika. Kundim was just saying it was his first time to join us the session. Okay. So I think we can start now. So
Please.
Nina or Kundim, do you have anything you would like to start with?
First of all, I want to thank you, Ajahn, very much to give me the true Dhamma. And many years ago, I went to practice meditation for many places in Thailand. After I listened the Dhamma of Ajahn, the Ajahn teach Dhamma, I really understand what is Dhamma of the Buddha. So I really thank you, Ajahn. The first time I listened to Ajahn when I was young, about 14 or 13 years old, in that time I turned on the radio and I don't know the Dhamma. So I try to understand Dhamma the wrong way that I went to practice. Wrong way, many years. For just 10 years, after that, for about 10 years, I go wrong way. I went to the wrong way. So now many of my friends also went the wrong way. So I want to listen to Dhamma, and then if I understand, I can tell my friend also, because I have my friends from England. My friends from England now, they're still going to practice meditation. So if I understand, I can advise them to turn to the right way. Thank you very much, Ajahn.
Yes, it's my pleasure to understand this, and I'm very happy to know about this too, because it's depend on panya, which has been accumulated to be able to let go the wrong understanding. It's not easy. Only right understanding can do. But it's much more deeper and very, very subtle to understand that how can there be the understanding of whatever appears now? Because they are all around all day, every day, but no understanding of any, as Buddha had enlightened. That's why we can understand his great wisdom and his great virtue and his great compassion for us to be able to understand that which is now appearing, which hasn't been known before at all. Little by little, stage by stage, until it is the enlightenment of the Four Noble Truth, which is now. So no self, no one at all. This is the truth, the satya of everything. So just understanding, not you, but the understanding can understand the truth. No one can understand by oneself except listening carefully, respectfully to each word of the enlightened one who has enlightened, so he could teach anybody what he had experienced. So now it's the understanding of satya, the truth of whatever is now appearing, not by oneself at all, never, but to the words of the truth which tell us about the truth of it, of this moment as it is. That is the precious moment of listening and talking about Dhamma. To understand, that's all, just to understand. So one can be so truthful to oneself, how much understanding of whatever appears now, what stage, what level, the depth of it, the subtlety of what is now appearing, not as it is. Because it appears as something always permanent.
No.
Lucas, you mentioned, I'm reminded of your message, and you said most teachers teach about meditation and focusing on body and bodily feelings. So when you heard Kun Dim say that now he's left the wrong path and understands that this isn't the right way, what do you think about it?
Well, my views changing every moment. So what I don't remember what I said like 1 week or 2 weeks ago, but well, I done also like Goenka and Ajahn Chak meditation. I've been Anagarika in the monastery, like long ago, yeah. But well, I cannot say anything. This is not my way. I know when I was doing the meditation, then it didn't work for me at all. So I'm not doing it now. I'm just studying Dhamma the same as you. So I cannot say, but as far as I know from Tipitaka, Visuddhimagga, that there is 40 objects. So I still hope or believe to the Buddha and the elders that for some people maybe the meditation as described by Visuddhimagga, for example, may help. But I don't know that, and that's.
And you asked why everyone teaches this way of focusing on the body and the bodily feelings. And it's like asking why there is so much ignorance and wrong view now, because it's been accumulated for so long. So it's so deeply ingrained. So the idea of self that would like to practice, that would like to find a method, that is looking for a shortcut, is the way that we're used to thinking. If there isn't any understanding of Dhammas as anatta now, if there's no Satya parami, no understanding of the truth at this moment, that whatever arises is conditioned.
Where is meditation? Where is it?
Ajahn, I think if you ask me about the meditation, where is meditation? I think simply is in the Satipatthana Sutta. For example, Buddha mentioned like when one is walking, one knows one is walking. So I think like contemplation, even contemplation on the fullness of the body, like a dead body or corpse of the body, it may be the object for wise thinking and wise understanding. So for me, this means meditation.
Is the meditation now?
Not in. It's supposed to be, yes. If one is studying Dhamma, we can say it's now.
That is thinking about that. But is it real? Is meditation a reality?
Yes, well, not as reality like in the Abhidhamma or Abhidhamma Sangha or whatever, but in that sense, this is not maybe a reality, but what we can say meditation is, as Buddha says in Satipatthana Sutta, this is Sati and Panya. So Sati Sampajana may be a meditation at the moment of when.
The words of the Buddha comes from his enlightenment, but not our enlightenment. That's why we need to consider the word he said, because what he taught came from his panya. Without panya, there cannot be such words like meditation or the absolute truth or what is there now at all. But from experience directly, enlighten the truth of whatever he taught, it has to be anytime, anywhere. But if without understanding, it cannot lead to letting go anything or understanding anything. That's why he taught about whatever can be understood right now, this moment. And we don't have to call it meditation or what, but it is the understanding. So what is better, to understand or to meditate?
I don't know answer for that. If there is now, if someone, for example, is meditating now, like sitting and meditating, it may be also like natural for that person if there is accumulation. So, for example, if one is doing meditation, thinks along stories and understands, then why not?
But what is the truth or the characteristic or the nature of what you call meditation?
I think this is the moment of awareness and understanding.
Can anyone have awareness without understanding about awareness?
I think yes, they can.
Without understanding, can there be awareness?
I think yes, because with no understanding of awareness, there still can be awareness and understanding.
Awareness of what? For now, please.
Yes, I mean for any object.
No, not any. Just one at this moment, because awareness is aware of just one reality. That's why. Is there awareness now?
No, not now.
So this is the understanding. If you think that it's just be aware of whatever you are taught from time to time, long time ago, but no understanding whether what is there, is it I who try to experience, who try to understand, but it's not right understanding of the characteristic of that which is conditioned to arise and just to be aware with understanding. This is the difference between read with understanding, study with understanding, or without understanding. Just remember the words from different pages. No understanding at all. But what is now is so true, so real. And Buddha enlightened the truth of whatever appears now. So he taught us that whatever can be known has to be just now. The past is gone, and the future hasn't come yet. So what can be really understood must be right now, one by one, because there are different characteristics of realities. They are not the same at all. That's why we learn to understand the words of the wisdom of the Buddha about just that which he talked about, only one at a time. For example, awareness. If there is no understanding perfectly, what is it? It's impossible to know whether is there awareness now or not. It all the understanding of whatever appears. That's the teaching of the enlightened one. Otherwise, that anybody cannot talk about the truth because they do not enlighten the truth. Only the person who has enlightened the truth can talk about the truth of whatever appears now, which can be studied, the truth of it little by little. So that can be the beginning of understanding awareness from stage by stage, from pariyati to patipati and to pativeda. Not just learn to understand or no understanding of any word, just read and remember That's not the purpose of his teachings, the Buddha's teachings. Just to understand. Without understanding, there cannot be right awareness, no understanding. So the words of the Buddha, it's not for reading or remembers or search or try to translate the meaning, but it's to understand whatever is now appearing, or in his teachings about no one there at all. That's why it will lead to all dhammas are anatta, no one, no self, no thing. Otherwise it must be object of clinging when it's something. Even just one characteristic which is there can be object of clinging with ignorance. So it's not just thinking that I'm being aware, but there must be the understanding of what is it, awareness, whether it's there now or not.
Ajahn, when I heard you ask us about awareness without understanding, and I thought about even we don't have right understanding, but at that moment, if kusala arises, it has like sati cetasik arise with, but after that you explain even awareness arise, but if we don't have right understanding, we cannot know it. What is awareness, or is there awareness? So I think it's very hard to understand about awareness.
No one can know whether there is awareness without understanding. But what is there now? Is it known already? No thinking about awareness, because awareness doesn't appear. เสียงอะไรคะเนี่ยคุณวรศักดิ์ So
it's
it's
clear ค
just
รับท่านอาจารย์ครับ
เสียงแทรกตลอดเวลาคุณวรศักดิ์
อ๋อเหรอครับแต่ว่าท่านอาจารย์ได้ยินใช่ไหมครับ
ได้ยินเสียงคุณวรศักดิ์ค่ะ
ครับเสียงแทรกนี่คงจะมาจากไมค์ของท่านอื่นที่ผู้ร่วมสนทนาไม่ได้ปิดไว้ครับ
ประกาศเลยค่ะไม่งั้นมันแทรกไม่รู้เรื่อง
ครับเดี๋ยวผมจะมิวคนที่ไม่ได้สนทนาไว้ก่อนเชิญต่อเลยครับ
I think there was just a bit of noise in the background when it was talking, perhaps. And Lucas, even if we're talking about development of samatha, which you mentioned, like the 40 objects and the corpse and so on, even awareness at the level of samatha has to develop with understanding. Otherwise, just focusing on a corpse or focusing on an object without any understanding, just the development of attachment only. So it has to, whatever bhavana we're talking about, whether it is samatha bhavana or vipassana bhavana, has to begin with right understanding.
Yes, sir, I agree. But the point is, this is not like I may misunderstand those things while reading, like Visuddhimagga. Yeah, there is 40 objects, but this is not me. This is how the elders were commenting about the things. The only thing with me is that I may not understand them. So I agree with that, but I still like why would they say about 40 objects of meditation or whatever, kamatana, if it would be like unimportant? So that's why I wonder, only that point.
If there is no understanding what is now appearing, can we talk about meditation or object of meditation or samatha or vipassana? Because no understanding of what appears now at all.
No, there needs to be always understanding, even with the 40 objects of that. But people are different, so that's, you know.
People are different, but what are we now? Is there understanding of the word we say, like samatha or pavana or sati?
Well, no. For me, I don't understand those 40 objects at all.
Because of the Buddha's wisdom that he had experienced all dhammas. So what word he said came from his wisdom so great. And how can we just think that we understand that? Very simple. It's impossible. Just the word anatta. What does it mean? Forget or remember that actually they are Dhamma. If we don't understand anatta, we cannot understand Dhamma. But when we understand what Dhamma is, we understand anatta. Because it is Dhamma, so it cannot be taken for anything permanent or self or things at all. That's why beginning to understand the difference between seeing and the other reality, like hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, they are different. No one knows until hearing the words of the truth about each reality is conditioned. Otherwise, it cannot arise at all. Nothing can arise without condition. That's why we learn to understand whatever appears little by little from one reality to another reality, to understand that actually in a day there is not only seeing, which seems there is seeing all day, but actually there are so many different realities, uncountable, arising and falling. No one knows. That's why they appear as nimitta, something all the time, to take it for something permanent. And that is the idea of atta, includes I, which is sakkaya ditti. And the other is atta nuttiti. Something is atta, but here is I. So it is sakkaya, but they are the same, but different entity. That's why we learn to understand that no matter it's what, it's not self, it's not I who am meditating or who beginning to understand this, but where are all the clingings every moment? Is there sanya cetasika now? Who knows? It's there as self, unknown, all five khandhas, each day from moment to moment. That's why we can understand the meaning of parami. Otherwise, no one think about parami, that it takes quite a long time to develop even the first stage of understanding, the pariyatti, before it can condition moment of direct awareness, which is satipatthana or patipatti. But people think that they are meditating, see, without understanding of what is what. So it's I all the time. And that is not the teaching of the Buddha. It's the thinking of the one who does not know what is meant by enlightenment. Not only pariyatti or patipatti, but it has to be different degrees of pativeda. Panya must be so great to really wearing away or eliminate the idea of self from whatever appears. For example, what is I now? If we say everything, it's not enough because no understanding of anything to say everything. So is there seeing now? Is there any understanding of seeing? It has a reason. It's fallen away completely, never to return at all. But it's there again, not the same one, who knows? So that's the idea that I see all day, no understanding at all Dhammas arising and falling away all day. That's why one always forgets Buddha and his teachings, whatever is there, no understanding, but dreaming about doing something, just for what? Not understanding anything which is now appearing at all. So how can there be the elimination of the idea of self until it is completely eradicated? So the teachings of the Buddha, just even one word, it's the word for understanding thoroughly, clearly, as no one, no self, no thing. Until everything which appears is known as it is, no self. Even the moment of its arising and falling away, if it's not known, lopa attachment is there. From that one to next one to next one all day, with ignorance and thinking that one can meditate. Meditate what? What for? To know what? To understand what? While what appears now is not understood, even at the degree of pariyatti yet. So the teachings of the Buddha just for eradication, letting go, wearing away that which is there for eons and eons, not only today or this life. If it doesn't condition the idea of letting go of that which cannot be taken for anything because it's not there anymore. For example, even the simple question like, where are you now? See, so many degrees of understanding. Where are you now? The right understanding of different degrees bring about different answers. If there is the idea, I am meditating, see, I is so strong, it's there, unknown, as what is I? And where is I? It's gone completely, no more. Only different realities performing different functions from moment to moment. Without the absolute realities, there cannot be anything, even the world, the star, the moon, the universe, or anything at all.
And Lucas, when you mentioned the elders and the objects of samatha as taught in the Visuddhimagga or the texts and how they had different understandings. But I think the elders in the time of the Buddha that Buddha Gosa is referring to or quoting, they understood even at the moment of wholesome reflection on a corpse or moments of reflection on metta, even these teachers are anatta, they're conditioned, not anyone doing anything, not anyone practicing or choosing or doing anything, but they understood even moments of great kusala, even moments of jhana are conditioned and impermanent and unsatisfactory, not worth clinging to. So the Buddha taught about all kinds of realities in all kinds of situations, but whatever reality it is, whatever kusala it is, it's anatta.
Ajahn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that made a difference to me years ago, you once we were in Hua Hin and we were in a shoe shop. For some reason I was buying shoes, and you pointed out the shoe and you said the visible object is there, or the color is there, but now it's gone. And I said, but it seems that it stays. But from studying more and learning more, I've started to realize intellectually that the whole world is gone moment to moment. Like there's nothing left of the whole universe, the whole world. The last moment is gone forever. And there's just this new moment that's just arisen. And intellectually, that's kind of made a difference to, I suppose, how I look at the world, how I look at the moment as well. I think before I had an idea that, the moment sort of, I know it's moment by moment, but somehow the moment's carrying on, but it's not carrying on at all. It's gone. So I wanted to add that in.
Can ignorance understand lobha, attachment, clinging? Where is it? But
No.
when it's panya, no corpse appearing now, but what appears now, shouldn't it be understood? If there is no understanding at this very moment, how can we think about the other moment of understanding, while even now it's not understood yet? So it's just the world of thinking, of dreaming about I. How can I do something like that all the time? But if there is no, if one remembers that it's not I from the very beginning, each word shows up the not I better and better and better. And this is the right thing, the right attitude of studying the teachings of the Buddha, to let go that which cannot be let go by ignorance at all. Because you see that everyone knows that no one can stop the arising and falling away of each reality after seeing. The moment that follows it does not see. So the moment before seeing arise, that moment cannot see. So seeing in reality is just one moment, while the object which impinged on the eye sense does not fall away yet. There are many, many cittas, but they perform their own different functions. And we take seeing for so many moments all day. It's wrong. How wrong? Because the arising and falling away of each one does not appear. But the Buddha enlightened the truth, so he said that all dhammas are so very subtle, so very difficult even to understand. That's why he had the idea that for those who could understand, he would taught, not to the devotee or the other beliefs that cannot understand what he said at all. So his teachings must be so very, very, very subtle. Otherwise we think that just go somewhere and meditate. That where is the subtlety of reality right now? But why no one can experience the arising and falling away of whatever appears from moment to moment? Because of ignorance. That's why if there is the firm understanding, the confidence or no self at all, it will lead to the end of self. And the understanding of each word comes through better and better, because seeing cannot be self. Why? Because it's conditioned to see. Without the eye sense, without that can impinge on it, there's no condition for seeing. And without karma, seeing cannot arise. Each details condition the understanding of no self, little by little. And in a day, even at moment of lying down just before sleep, no me is there. If it's accumulated, it can condition even that moment of thinking, which will lead to more and more confidence and understanding reality, no matter what now, as just for a moment. So if one keep on thinking or just remember or don't forget about everyone is going to die for sure. It can be this minute, in the evening, or tomorrow. No one knows. But everyone is going to die. So what is the best thing in life is not wrong understanding of the idea of self, which cannot be less without the teaching of the Buddha gradually by parami, khanti parami to sattva parami, with virya parami and adhidana parami. One begins to understand no self, no one can do anything. How long it will take? It depends on conditions. When the conditions are ready, no doubt about how can it appear as what Buddha had enlightened. So very, very beyond imagination. It seems like impossible because it's no understanding, covered up by ignorance from moment to moment to moment to moment, and the understanding of each word, just one by one word of the Buddha, which conform with all his words as all Dhammas. He didn't say anyone at all, but Dhamma. So all Dhammas are anatta. Nothing can be atta. Nothing is left to be atta. All Dhammas are anatta. It means that even whatever arises now is conditioned. We don't know next moment at all. So how can there be the understanding to be aware of such and such object? Because it hasn't come yet, and even the condition for right awareness is not ready yet. So how can there be right understanding with right direct awareness of whatever appears now? So it is another level of understanding, coming of being brought up by the understanding from intellectual understanding, pariyatti. So there is the Four Noble Truths by way of 12. 3 pariyatti, first of the Four Noble Truths, and practice the patipatti of the four, and then pativeta of the four. All together must be clear and firm in order to go literally to experience directly the truth. By then, no doubt about how can it bring such understanding to condition such moment, which in Pali is abhisamaya, not like any moment at all. But that can be by conditions only, right understanding. No I, never be I, gone completely, no more. So the understanding of anatta, not just follow the word anatta, that is not enough. Not me, no self, no one, in one's own language. It means the understanding of what Buddha used to say, anatta, for everyone, not to forget. No self, no one, only Dhamma, conditioned unexpectedly by its way. This is the only way to gradually eliminate the idea of self. Nothing can perform such understanding to eliminate the idea of self, only the understanding. So just one moment of understanding now is so very precious. Without it, there cannot be more than this. But from one moment to another moment, without expectation, one day it can be conditioned to moment of reality appears well in Pali. So one understand what it's meant by at this moment. No reality appear well because they just arise and fall away unknowingly all the time. Like hardness, no attention to it from morning up to now. But it's a reality, it's conditioned, it arises and falls away like the other. If we just want to experience something not very common daily reality, what is that? Isn't it lopa, unknown, In samsara, it's there with you, with the idea of self. Even what is said, the search for karma, kamaraka, for sensuous object, and search for understanding. But with lopa, it's strong. And who knows, while seeking, it's a lopa. Go with lopa, seek with lopa. Never leave lopa alone at all. It's there, no matter in what. Only whenever there is panya, which knows where is it, what is it, when is it, it cannot be there anymore. That's why it has to be the second noble truth. To know it, to understand it, to see the danger of it. Because right now, if someone asks, would you like not to arise anymore, not to have life anymore? One is not ready, because panya is not ready to leave everything, but to cling to everything. Still there. That's why one is so truthful, satya parami, not force oneself, but see the value, the precious moment of understanding, which cannot arise alone by itself. It needs considering, wise consideration of it as which is so real, so true. It has to be that, never be changed at all, even right now. Seeing is not hearing, it's not thinking, it's not liking. See, everything arises and falls away unknown. And after hearing the teachings, understanding, no self, panya, experience what that is not experienced before by anattanis, conditions. So the understanding of the no self and the firm confidence. And this is the only way. And there can be the moment of feeling relief from not being enslaved, of that stage of lopa, which is there all the time. Letting go just stage by stage, very, very little, from moment to moment, till it appeared at all. To go to meditation cannot bring any understanding at all. To try to do something is the idea of self still. Lopa is seeking to do something, to get something. It's there until understanding better and better, firmer and firmer. Then life goes on as usual, very natural. And that is the way panya performs its function, very, very secretly and very, very gradually, and it brings about different moment of thinking correctly, rightly about there is no self. At any time, who knows, by conditions. So learning Dhamma, listening to Dhamma, just to understand what appears down. And truthfulness is there to understand how much is there understanding, or none at all, or not yet, or begin gradually, not clearly yet. But from developing understanding moment to moment, what that which hasn't happened and appeared yet can be conditioned to appear as it is, clearer and clearer by different jhana. Otherwise, it's useless wasting time thinking in one's language about this and that, and then forget, because there's no understanding of reality. But when there is the understanding of reality, no matter in what language, it cannot change the understanding of that which appears. That's why even Sariputta had no idea that he would become enlightened after hearing some words from Asati, just some word about that which appears.
I very much appreciate your reminder that learning the Dhamma is learning to understand what is appearing now. And I think this is the key to the development of the path. So it seems to me that the understanding of, that what has fallen away is gone forever and so forth is not quite the same as the moment of understanding of what is appearing now. But there is understanding of other aspects of the way things are that comes from, but it's all built on understanding what is appearing now.
Mm-hmm. Not other way at all. And when there are right conditions, no one can stop the appearing of the reality as it is, stage by stage. That's why the first stage is no doubt about the characteristic of Nama, that which is appeared, that which experiences now. Even there is the idea and the beginning of understanding that it sees, it experiences, but it doesn't show up, because what is shown, appeared, is only that which is seen as something which is not just that, which is so very short, because the lifespan of Rupa is so very short, just 17 moments of Chitta arising and falling away unexpectedly. No one can expect. How can it be like that? So everything appears, no matter now or then, as nimitta. No doubt about what one learned from the word of the Buddha, little by little, by direct experience.
Ajahn, I think I have to take long time to study and develop the right understanding of Dhamma. I think I have to take long time to understand the deep Dhamma from Pariyatti until Patipatti arise. I think we have to take long time.
And not only you, everyone who understands the truth must be exactly the same. To have Khanti Parami, Adidana Parami, so resolutely, and Virya Parami, all together with letting go the wrong idea of I will do, or I will try, or I will know. That's wrong. And only Panya can do that because it understands the truth. That's why not just say Panya, 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 but what is Panya? And what does Panya understand? And understand means what? That's why each word of the Buddha is so valuable, so very precious, because it will bring about more and more understanding, little by little, to understand not me, only condition such moment. Anything can arise because of the anusaya, but Panya, which has gradually developed, can understand that as not me. It begins to not being disturbed by such akusala, because it's only there. Actually, no one, no thing, no matter it's the object of hatred or object of kindness or what, or like or dislike. Just for that moment only, see how short, how great wisdom can understand that clearly, precisely, unexpectedly, as Buddha said. That's why there is Arya Savaka. the one who listens and follows the teachings of the Buddha, which means the understanding, not just follow by repeating or reciting or trying with the idea of self. So his teaching is against the world, the way of the world, the stream of the world. And imagine how true it is, but it does not appear yet. But whenever it appears, it has to be just like that. Only one reality is the object of right awareness with panya. Without panya, there is doubt. What is that? But panya is there. So it's not self, it's not me, it's only that reality appearing, and no expect for how long it will stay or how short it will fall away. See, everything comes to the answer, no I. All are dhammas, conditioned dhamma. Anatta in Pali is no I, no control, because of no I. So where am I? See, that can be the answer. Nowhere. Where is the seeing? Nowhere. Because it arises at the I base. I base far away, seeing far away. Nowhere.
And Kundim, even when we think it will take me a long time, it will take us all a long time, we say this, but of course in truth, it's not me that takes a long time. It's panya that takes a long time to develop, but it's not yours or mine or anyone's panya. But because ignorance has been accumulated for so long, of course, it will take a very long time for panya to develop. But so quickly we think of it as my panya, which will take a long time. And this is not understanding the nature of that panya.
Yeah, Ajahn, thank you very much. Panya have to be developed from step by step, I think.
Beginning with the understanding it doesn't belong to me, that it's just a dhamma that is conditioned, that arises and develops itself when those conditions are right. As Ajahn said, when they're the right conditions, no one can stop it standing what appears naturally, not by anyone doing anything at all.
And that very tiny moment is so precious because it's there, and then it can condition at the moment of understanding little by little, better by better, gradually until completely gone. That's why what appears has to be known. Otherwise, ignorance is there, attachment is there. That's why there is the word sappa parinya in Pali after vipassana jnana. Because even now, the reality which experience does not appear as it yet, no matter how much we talk about it, but no understanding it, not yet, until time comes. From hearing more, understanding little by little. But as long as doubt is vicikiccanusaya, there is more. That's why it's so very, very subtle. The more understanding, the subtlety of reality appear, that it is much longer to develop than one can imagine. So study the words with the understanding of no self. It brings more understanding of reality as not self. For example, seeing, experience, only a moment, gone. Even that is so very, very precious to know the truth, the Sat Jul Barami. No expectation. Yes, please.
Excuse me, Ajahn. I think it's very difficult for many people because many people like me or my friends, they still go somewhere and some place to do something, to gain something. For example, to practice meditation or practice samadhi, to be the panya will arise after practice samadhi or meditation like this. So they don't understand about the Dhamma of the Buddha. They just want to go and practice something. They hope that the panya will arise from practicing. I think this is very difficult for people. I think
They don't know Buddha. They say they respect, they take refuge of him, but they do not know Buddha. The one who sees Dhamma knows me. That's his word. Without understanding, no one can see Buddha. No one can understand what is meant by Buddha. The great wisdom, great virtue, and great compassion. Uncomparable.
thank you very much, Ajahn. And now I trying to know the Buddha from the Dhamma that Ajahn teach. I try to listen every day, and I listen in Thai language from Ajahn Thidarat and Ajahn Kunvilai. In evening, some days we have a discussion in Thai language. So thank you, Ajahn. Thank you very much. And then I will try again and again and again. ครับอาจารย์ครับ สาธุครับ
Yeah, สาธุค่ะ
Nina, did you have any question or a topic you wanted to bring up today? We can't hear you, Nina. We can't hear you.
We always see something, so it means not visible object. So it's not clear. But then Ajahn also says everything appears as nimitta, but even seeing visible object, even visible object only can appear as nimitta because it's already gone very fast and it's only nimitta that can be experienced. So when we see something, it's the concept is not visible object, but even we see visible object, still it appears as nimitta. So what is then the difference?
Can visible object be something?
It is not, but it seems to appear as something.
So what is the truth?
That it is visible object and not a thing.
Until then?
Until panya is developed.
Uh-huh. Can you see a mountain?
Not really see, think about a mountain.
But usually people say that they see mountain, right? They see a chair, a table. See, because of the rapidity of the arising and falling away of realities, nobody can change. Even Buddha saw this like we do, with understanding for him and with no understanding for the others. This is the difference. Understanding the truth or not understanding anything about the truth of it at all. That's why this is the difference between the enlightened one and the ignorant one. So Panya consider wisely what is true. Does it stay? How can it be something if it just arises and falls away and never arises again? And nothing arises again. See? Before we can take it as a mountain, what is seen has to be seen first, and then the shape and form. Only just one moment cannot be a mountain, no nimitta. Even seeing now appears as seeing all the time, nothing in between. But actually, so many moments of citta are in between, unknown, but seeing seems to see all the time. And what is right and what is wrong, and what is true and what is not true. To understand the truth, there must be wise considering about what is really seen. And when we talk about the nimitta of seeing and nimitta of that which is seen, it shows that how rapidity the arising and falling away of seeing and that which is seen is at that very moment. So very rapidly, until no one can experience the difference in between, because it's not the developed panya. But when panya, right understanding, more and more developed, how can there be no understanding of the difference? And after that, there is the level of letting go, no attention, no interest, no clinging to that which follows, that which arises and falls away. That's why there can be right awareness of a reality before the arising and falling away of that reality can appear, even as nimitta. According to Abhidhamma, after seeing consciousness, panya cannot arise with the next moment of citta. That's why seeing appears as nimitta, not just a single one. So one can see the wisdom of Buddha. The one who understands Dhamma sees me. Otherwise, what is Buddha? How panya is there to be beyond the others? Otherwise, we won't know why do we respect Buddha so much in samsara. Because that which has not known yet can be known little by little. Nothing can condition panya without the right words from the enlightenment of the Buddha. To be considered the truth little by little with patient parami and satya parami together with adhidhana parami, not for anything else in the world, because actually nothing belongs to anyone at all. Only arises and falls away. No thing, no one at all. Nothing. When it's something, it is the object of clinging for sure. But when it's nothing, how can there be clinging to that? Because nothing is there to be clung to.
And Satya Parami, you have stressed this a lot, and then you give really more meanings, because before I thought it is just truthfulness, sincerity, but then you explained more meaning to really understand that there is no self, no me. So that was very useful.
Yes, of that which is now appearing, see, it has to be that, only that. Because
and you talked about Satyajnana, and it seemed to be in a wider context than we are used to, because you spoke about the level of pariyatti, of patipatti, and the level of pativeda. So it is a wider meaning than we are used to think. It's only pariyatti level, Satyajnana. But then you give the connection with Satya Parami. So I think this is all a wider context. And Satya Parami and Satyajnana seem to be the same, if I am not mistaken.
We can't hear you, Ajahn. I think there's something wrong with your
Yeah.
Okay. Kun Warasak, are you there? Can you help Ajahn?
Yes, could you please wait for a moment? I try to reconnect. Okay.
Meanwhile, Nina, I agree with what you're saying. Before we've learned about Satjanyana and then Kichanyana, Katanyana, and Satjanyana just seem to be referring to the firm intellectual understanding. But the way that Ajahn was talking about it last week, she was also referring to the Kichanyana, the Patipati, and the Katanyana, the Patibeda, and as you say, it seemed closer to Satya Parami that is being developed, so a wider context, as you mentioned.
Yes.
I had the same, I understood the same way, yes.
Yeah, and the relation between Satjanyana and Satya Parami, it seemed to be more or less the same.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Understanding the truth is the understanding of Satya Parami on and on, higher and higher level, because even when it's the Satjanyana, the intellectual understanding is firm and developed, but still the Satjanyana has to continue developing when it's direct understanding.
I found it very helpful that Ajahn stressed so much Satya Parami, because I had never thought of it before.
And I noticed that whenever she has been talking about Satya Parami, she always mentions with Virya Parami and Adhitthana Parami, and just now mentioning Adhitthana Parami, which is determination or resolution. So at that moment of understanding, it is the right resolution, the Adhitthana Parami developing together. People think about making a resolution to have more kusala or more understanding. It's not that at all. It's at this very moment of understanding. It is the Adhitthana Parami that is developing at that moment, the right resolution with Satya Parami.
Hello.
Are you there, Ajahn, now?
ครับเชิญต่อเลยครับท่านอาจารย์ได้ยินนะครับฮัลโหลครับท่านอาจารย์ได้ยินไหมครับ
ดีขึ้นแล้วค่ะ
ครับผมโอเคครับเชิญต่อเลยครับ
We can hear you now, Ajahn. No, still a problem. We can't hear you, Ajahn. And anything else you would like to add on that, Nina? Oh, we're waiting for Ajahn.
Well, what we just talked about.
Yes.
And Satjanyana, and that they have to develop in different stages. It's
supported by Virya Parami and Adhitthana Parami all together. The other day in the Vietnamese discussion, there was a very interesting topic about sila. One of our friends was asking a question about the 5 precepts and practicing the precepts and the need to keep the precepts and observing the precepts, keeping the precepts, quite a long question. And at the end, Ajahn said to him, "Are you talking about yourself?" And it was really very interesting, because we think that when we're considering about precepts, about different kind of sila, that we're talking about the Dhamma. But her question, are you talking about yourself? So often it's just the story about me. Am I keeping the precepts, and am I having kusala chitas? And so instead of actually being about dharmas, it's just the long story about oneself. And then she said, and what about And she said, are you talking about yourself? And he said, yes. And then she said, what about such a parami of no self? Because if there's no understanding about the truth of this moment, nothing can be understood about sila or precepts or anything else. So it always comes back to such a parami at this moment.
And I find it helpful to know that it is the attitude of chitta. Sila is the attitude of chitta. Not I do this or that.
The behavior of chitta at this very moment.
Yeah.
Even at this moment of, I want to keep precepts, what kind of chitta is that at this moment? Yes. It may be just clinging to oneself. I want to have more kusala. So it all comes back to the chitta at this moment.
And all kusala is included in sila, not only the precepts.
Yes. We're also talking about samadhana sila, which is not virity, but just like now there may be kusala chittas which think about not harming. And she referred to this as chaitana sila. But when time comes, who knows whether there will be harming. And so if there's no understanding at this moment of chaitana sila, then no understanding of whether it's kusala or akusala at that moment of thinking about keeping precepts.
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to add, Tam or Mai?
Yes, actually, the question came from Mr. Zhao, and I don't know whether he's here now. He's here. Before that, we in the Vietnamese discussions, he already brought up the topic, but it was a little bit different the way he explained his question in Vietnamese. And when he was speaking in Vietnamese, I think maybe I can try to explain how I understood his question in Vietnamese, and because he's here, and then after that he can correct or he can add anything he would like. So when we were talking in Vietnamese, he said something along the line that when before meeting Ajahn, he used to be very careful about observing sila. Like he would never kill mosquitoes. And now he understands more about realities, and he think that sometimes he's too focused on understanding realities that sometimes it happened to him to kill the mosquitoes. So that's how he started his questions. So I don't.
It's like a side effect.
Yeah, he said that it's like a side effect, and he asked whether whether understanding realities should be more important than observing sila. So Mr. Zhao is here. Probably you can add anything you'd like to say to clarify your question.
And then after that, we discussed about the term side effect of the learning Dhamma like here. So, Mr. Zhao, can you explain more about your words of side effect?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So
thanks for joining us in the hot seat. Yes.
Yeah. And after Ajahn and Sarah and John helped me to understand the characteristics of 5 precepts during the discussion. So I was considering very carefully about this, and I think what Ajahn just recap, what Sarah just recap few minutes ago is the first for me. So that's enough. Thank you.
And I think the point is that whether there is harming or not harming the mosquitoes with kusala or akusala chaitana, or just with just by not intending anything, but each moment, each reality is conditioned. This is the main point. So even now, while we're chatting about the Dhamma, kusala and akusala citas, vipaka citas, kiriya citas, each one conditioned, and who knows what effect there will be at any moment by different conditions. So we think about the situation and the side effects in terms of people and animals and situations, but actually each nama, each rupa at each moment is conditioned. That's all.
I'd just like to add that learning about the development of understanding in daily life cannot be a condition for less sila, less observing, or less restraint from killing mosquitoes, for example. So to me, if someone thinks that they are focused, as it were, on understanding realities, and that this leads to more killing of mosquitoes, there's some misunderstanding of what is meant by the development of understanding in daily life, because it cannot, it's not a case of being too focused, too taken up with understanding to be able to think about other things.
Maybe a little bit like the question about playing the guitar, whether one can play the guitar and develop understanding, because there's the idea that being focused on playing the guitar means there can't be any understanding, or while driving the car, people may think that one cannot drive the car and develop understanding. But as Jonathan said, this is the wrong understanding of what understanding is. So quickly and briefly of any reality at any time, no matter the activity.
And thinking of effect that one has, thinking of a situation similar to the dog who is unwarmed, or the bomb that is dropped by military because he had to follow orders, things like that we discussed before. Yeah.
It's the wrong understanding of realities and the wrong understanding of cause and effect.
Yeah.
Somehow I have a confused about the because of somehow I know exactly understand about the realities what appear right now is very important. So sometimes I confuse is the action of killing something not very important than understand about the realities right now. Can you help me?
It's not a case of one or the other. Understanding does not interfere with ordinary life, and ordinary life is not a hindrance to the arising of understanding. Understanding is a conditioned reality that can arise at any time depending on conditions. So we don't have to think that there should be more of one or more of the other. That is not the way of allowing understanding to develop at its own pace in its own time.
And Alberta, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something which John already said, because yeah, understanding, more understanding doesn't mean more killing either. Doesn't mean, I think it means less killing and less less kilesa and more kusala. So how can there be more understanding and more killing? I don't really follow the
Because
argument.
there's more understanding of the harm of akusala and more understanding of the value of kusala.
So I don't really agree that is more understanding is more important than sila, which means that I think that they're both equal. They're both important in the sense that they're connected and maybe there can be neither understanding and more killing. Yes, I don't think there can be more understanding and more killing mosquitoes or any breaking of the precepts. I don't think that's possible, really. Just because the realities, as Sarah was saying, is that's the way they work, and it's a Dhamma. Dhamma works that way. It's not anyone trying to observing precepts or trying hard or trying harder and making more effort to observe precepts, but just understanding the present moment as anatta. That's it. That all the rest comes with it, but without understanding all the trying, all the efforts are bound to be fruitless without any results, or not any way the one that one hope for, I think.
And Tam and Mai, were you about to? Oh, Maeve was about to ask.
And Mr. Zhao's sharing reminds me about a discussion we had before with the monk. He said that this way of learning encourage us our defilements. Like when we enjoy our food, watching movie, and he say, oh, it's just Dhamma, it's by condition. So seems like the side effect of this way of learning. I still remember the topic before.
So I think it comes down to not understanding what understanding is, and it comes down to the idea of the self trying to do, like trying not to enjoy oneself, trying not to do this or not to do that, but it's not the natural understanding of what is conditioned right now at this moment as Dhamma, as anatta. Like if there's the idea that understanding leads to more akusala, then it's the wrong idea of what understanding is. And some people, like those who meditate, they may try very hard not to enjoy their food or to not smile or not to follow anything they enjoy, but it's not a natural way, it's forced. So when they leave that center or environment, then they're disturbed, or then they enjoy themselves as normal. So it's not it's not really being honest. It's not such a parami, being honest with accumulation at this very moment, no matter kusala, akusala, or whatever the accumulation is right now.
And some people think they have to have more kusala, ordinary kusala, in order for understanding to develop. And we know that is not the right understanding. That is not the Buddha's teaching at all, because understanding develops by its own conditions. And I think the person who says that understanding arises and therefore by conditions, and therefore it's fine if I do this or fine if I do that kind of akusala action, that is the other kind of wrong understanding, wrong interpretation of Buddha's teaching, because obviously akusala is always akusala and kusala is always kusala. And akusala is never something to be condoned, to be approved of. So there's two extremes. One is I must do more kusala, and the other is it doesn't matter what I do because understanding will arise anyway, and I can just indulge myself as I want to. Are both kinds of misinterpretation.
And like Ajahn said, the concern is motivated by the idea of self, myself.
All the long story about I and how many precepts I'm keeping and whether I'm having more kusala than before, how much or how little understanding I have. It's just, we think it's about a Dhamma story, but actually it's just a long story about me.
But there's some comments say that it is just like an excuse for our defilements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We rationalize our action by saying it's in accordance with what Buddha taught.
Ajahn is ready now.
Yeah, I think Ajahn is here.
Are you there, Ajahn? I think Ajahn.
Can you hear us, Ajahn? You know. Carry on. So in the end, anyway, in the end, it doesn't matter what anyone says when it is understanding right now, when it is the development of such a parami, no doubt, no confusion, no concern what anyone says, because it is the understanding of reality that appears now that is most precious, and only that which leads to all kinds of kusala, rather than just clinging more and more to I who has good sila, or I who am a good meditator, or something like this. So it doesn't, I don't mind what anyone says about it, or if people see me having fun swimming or anything, because I'm very so confident that it's just this moment, no matter when or where. And this isn't, it's just natural daily life, natural accumulations of attachment. Ajahn, can you hear us? And Maeve, earlier I saw you put up your hand, but I don't know if you were trying to speak or not.
Can't hear you, Maeve. Please turn on. Unmute.
Hi, Peter.
Hi. I just say to...
Sorry, I think Maeve is about to speak. Yes, Maeve.
It becomes clearer and clearer why Ajahn keeps emphasizing that understanding is like the key thing. Because it's almost like we're motivated to try and seek out all sorts of shortcuts like developing kusala or going to a certain place, or a whole gamut of things other than understanding. And it's really quite wonderful the way she keeps bringing us back to that is the key, as you said, Jonathan. It's what arises now is there to be understood, and that just gently bringing us back to that all the time, despite all our attempts to try and find another way, another method, or I don't know. And often, like the sila is obviously, it's very important as are all the parami, but the key to the development of all of these attributes, I suppose, resides in understanding, and the subtlety of what that understanding is and how it develops seems to be the ongoing ongoing thread. Listening to Ajahn over and over again, and when she says about how Panya is performing its function secretly, I understood that to be part of that subtlety, subtlety relating to understanding. How do you understand that comment about that Ajahn made today about Sila performing its function secretly?
I understand it to be really like the wearing away of the axe handle, that even though it's not obvious, actually the listening, the considering, the wise reflecting leads to the development of panya, little by little, drip by drip. So it seems like it's secretly, just gradually developing, unknown. And as you said, Sila Parami, the other paramis, without understanding, they cannot develop at all. There cannot be any Sila Parami without the development of Panya. So even the idea of trying to keep so many precepts without Panya, it's like looking for another shortcut. Still, trying to do something when there's no understanding of the reality appearing now. And that understanding just grows very gradually, very secretly and unknown, but it's there. And confidence develops with it that even though it can't be measured, it's accumulating, it's performing its task.
May I add? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes, we can hear
Ajahn.
you,
Please
Ajahn.
carry on, Ajahn.
Someone said that Punwarasak said he couldn't hear me, but you hear?
Now we can
Now.
hear you now. Yes, please carry on,
Now,
Ajahn.
now I can hear you. ท่านอาจารย์ครับ
Now we've lost you again, Ajahn.
But right now I can hear ท่านอาจารย์
Peter, you.
Just carrying on a second, Maeve. I think we can readily see that panya, like any other kind of kusala, can be weak or strong at any given moment. It doesn't always arise of uniform strength, and that is the case whether it's for the beginner or for the person of advanced level of understanding. And so obviously for us as beginners, it's always going to be weak to very weak, faint, even indiscernible. But if the conditions for its arising are there, then it will be arising. And as Sarah has said, sometimes it's only apparent in retrospect that there must have been some accumulation of moments of panya over a period of time, because it's apparent that one's appreciation of the reality of the present moment has shifted, has developed, has advanced a little. And so that can be a basis for confidence to carry on that way, that there isn't any need to actually undertake any practice or do anything special. But one realizes that it's just going to take a long, long time. But if one is fortunate enough for those conditions to be there, then it will develop.
May I add something to that? I think the idea of perhaps the sila being secret is that it's a refraining. It's the thought of refraining from doing a particular action. So that may not be aware of, others might not be aware when one is refraining. And then adding to the idea of anatta, I like the discussion very much when more is pointed out what kind of thought constitutes thinking in terms of a self, because that helps us to understand more and more what is anatta. When we understand the kind of thoughts that arise that are really thoughts thinking in terms of self. Like, for instance, thinking about whether we're going to do a better job of following sila or something like that. Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes, I can hear you very clear, Betty.
That to me is very helpful when one can know that this particular kind of thought is done with the idea of self, or that particular thought is done with the idea of self. It helps the understanding. It helps perhaps be a condition for helping to understand.
Well, can we say for sure that when there is this idea, that it's idea of self, and when there's that idea, it's not the idea of self? I'm not sure it's quite so black and white. But
oh, I see what you mean. I know for me, just a few moments ago, I have to say for me because that's the way the language goes, when we had just had this discussion a few minutes ago about the idea that we think that we should make an effort to follow sila.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
That when we understand that's being done with a thought of self, to me, this helps me to understand more about the anatta-ness, what more constitutes anatta-ness. That's for me. But you're right, it may not necessarily, one might not necessarily follow the other, but one then has more understanding of what constitutes the idea of self.
Yes, I think it's easier to say that, of course, an idea of practice will be must involve an idea of self.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it's the idea of being able to control.
True, yeah.
But then we can't say, if there's no idea of practice, then that's not self. But it does help, as you say, to have it pointed out that certain ideas must involve the concept of self.
Okay.
Thanks, Betty.
Sorry?
I said thanks, Betty.
Yes.
And Peter, I think you were trying to say something before. Maybe he's gone. Alan, was there anything you were wanting to say or ask about today?
No, not in particular. Just the 4 rounds of understanding. Sorry, the 3 rounds of understanding the 4 noble truths.
Say or ask about today?
Hello,
I was going to say something. Can you hear me?
No, not in particular. Just the 4 rounds of understanding. Sorry, the 3 rounds of understanding the 4 noble truths.
Say or ask about today?
Hello, Sarah, can you hear me? No, not in particular. Just the 4 rounds of understanding. Sorry, the 3 rounds of.
Alan, there was something wrong with your microphone. We're just getting it repeated again. I think you or I don't know if it's...
It seems to be delayed about 5 seconds.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you being repeated again and again, so I'm not quite sure what's going on.
No, nor am I.
And my
Maybe
comments.
I'll take a back seat.
I don't know. But anyway, I think the topic, Nina, you might like to discuss it. We said last time we discussed it in more details. So I think Alan was just asking about the 12 kinds of understanding of the Four Noble Truths, the 3 rounds, the Pariyatti, the Patipati, and the Patibheda.
It's a long subject, and I think it may be good to have it one by one, so one session on the first Noble Truths, the 3 rounds. We, as Anne mentioned, this was discussed in Vietnam once. Ajahn discussed a lot about it, but maybe it is a good thing because now it seems like a theory, like the 12, the 4 and the 12, but it shouldn't be theory. So maybe it's useful to discuss more about these rounds of the Four Noble Truths, 3 rounds. First in Satchanyana, Kichanyana, Karanyana.
I think we can just, in summary, everyone knows there are the 4 Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth referring to all conditioned realities which are impermanent and unsatisfactory, dukkha. And then the second Noble Truth, the cause of the arising of conditioned realities from life to life because of attachment now. And the third Noble Truth referring to the end of attachment and the end of the conditioned realities, and the fourth Noble Truth referring to the path. So now when we're discussing and reflecting, it's just intellectual understanding about the 4 Noble Truths. So the understanding of the truth, Satchanyana, refers in this case to the intellectual understanding about those 4 Noble Truths. But it is that firm intellectual understanding, that firm pariyatti, which conditions the direct understanding, the patipati, or the kichanyana. Kichanyana is a patipati, which refers to satipatthana, or the direct understanding of those realities. So seeing now, hearing now, all of these are conditioned realities which are dukkha. This is the first Noble Truth. And so this is how we have 3 rounds of understanding of the 4 Noble Truths. And it is that satipatthana or patipati or kichanyana which conditions the direct realization of the vipassana jnanas and eventually enlightenment, the direct realization of the 4 Noble Truths. So this is how we come to the 12, the 3 levels of understanding of the 4 Noble Truths. Yeah. So before Ajahn has talked a lot about these, but I think now she's talking more, referring more to just the development of Satchanyana, the development of the understanding of the truth from pariyatti to patipati to patibheda, more and more growth of understanding of the 4 Noble Truths, beginning with the understanding of the various realities which arise and fall away and are so worthless, nothing, because they're gone instantly, as Robert mentioned too.
And what impressed me so much before, when she was talking about the past now, and that there is a very firm understanding of this is the past and this is not the wrong past, but the right past, not giving way to wrong interpretations or wrong practice. I remember that especially, and a reality to now, this moment.
Right, and she stressed that it's only Satchanyana when it is really firm understanding that, as you mentioned, it's the path now. When there's the idea of looking for the shortcuts that Maeve mentioned, or find some other way, or doing something to keep precepts, or going to a special place, then that firm intellectual understanding cannot condition the direct understanding, satipatthana. So it all begins with the understanding at this moment, as you said. Otherwise it cannot develop because one keeps following the wrong path. Is that a little clearer, Alan? Was that your question? Do you want to try speaking again?
Can you hear me now live?
So far, so good.
Okay, yeah, it's the third noble truth. I can understand that you can have 3 rounds of the first noble truth, but the third noble truth seems to be you can have intellectual understanding, but actually there's no development of direct understanding of the third noble truth. It's experienced or it's not. So I just wanted to clarify that. What's meant by
even when it's vipassana jnana, it's still before enlightenment. Before enlightenment, there's no realization of nibbana, but there's closer and closer direct by developing the understanding of the worthlessness and the unsatisfactoriness of what is conditioned and the danger of what is conditioned. There is more and more understanding that only that which is unconditioned is worthwhile. What is conditioned will always be unsatisfactory. I don't know if you have anything more to add, Nina, to that. Oh, a note. Ajahn, can you hear me? We can't hear you, Ajahn. Sorry. An opportunity for Kanti Parami at any moment, even when the microphones aren't working or the technical issues, patience with whatever is conditioned now. Nina, did you have any further comment on Alan's question about noble truth? Or Robert?
He wants to say something.
Hello.
Come in, Rob.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It didn't seem to be working before. Yeah. I'm just commenting on what Betty was talking about thinking and identifying self-thinking. I think going back to my earlier comment about realizing that the moment actually really is just a moment, and then whatever was past is gone, and there's nothing of the future at all. I mean, whether microscopically cheetah to cheetah or the whole universe, everything has fallen away. What I've detected, in myself and a lot of Buddhists talking on forums is that people really kind of believe at a strong level that actually things are still there. Having those thoughts, like Betty was saying about that seem to reflect right view, does seem to be one aspect. It's right view at a certain level, at the pariyati level, and I think that is, even if it's not directly on the moment that's arising right now, still that background right view is beneficial. So I just wanted to say that to Betty. Any comments on that?
Okay, I wasn't well, you're right. I wasn't referring to a moment of satipatthana, but what I was referring to is when we have this kind of discussion and we learn something, for example, the idea that when we think of, I'm going to be more assiduous in practicing sila, that is done with a sense of self. And for me, that was, the more I can understand what kind of actions and thoughts constitute being done with a self, it helps me to understand a little more, still at pariyatti level, of course, what perhaps constitutes anatta. And John was saying that it probably doesn't necessarily ipso facto follow. Right, but to me, it's can perhaps act as a condition, maybe. That's all.
I think it just reflects somehow on whether there has been understanding of Dharma. If the thinking about life, if the thinking about the moment, if the thinking about things in general and what appears now is in line with the Dharma, that's reflective of a certain degree of pariyatti developing. However, if one's thoughts and views do not agree with the Dharma, that's reflective that more study and more reflection in the right way has to be done.
Yes, I would agree very much.
Jan might ask, whose thinking is it at that moment? So I think different moments. So sometimes it's the story of my thinking, and this is kusala thinking, or this is akusala thinking, but it's still my thinking that one is interested in. So different dharmas, different realities at different moments.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Ajahn. Please try speaking.
Yeah, because and no matter what we are talking about, is there any understanding of what appears now? We just keep on talking about many, many things, but is there any understanding of what appears now?
Usually not. Thinking. Mostly thinking about what appears now. It's
even thinking about it, it's not yet, because you keep on thinking about the other things in the day. Not now at all. That's why the understanding of Dhamma will gradually bringing the moment of understanding naturally that which is now appearing by conditions to understand about no self, about anatta. This is the point. No matter how much we learn about different things, but if it doesn't bring about to understand the reality right now, as even just is there, it's there only, not yet understand clearly what it is, whether it is that which experience or that which is experienced is not known in the beginning. But the understanding of the different characteristic of sati can be known. Very weak, but not as before that there's no awareness at all. For example now, awareness or no awareness. And when it's there by conditions, it's different. Because from hearing and considering with understanding, it is a function of sati at that level, which is aware of the meaning of the word, but it is not the moment of understand its characteristic or other characteristic of any reality yet, until time comes by conditions. That's why there is more and more confidence on conditions and no one. By understanding that there is no one now talking about this and that, it will get rid or just not attend to the other words rather than begin to just arise and understand in between naturally. See, everything has to be so very naturally with the more understanding of not me, not I at all, but conditions is there. Otherwise, that cannot appear, it cannot arise. And this is the purpose, the goal of understanding the truth that Buddha has enlightened. Otherwise, it will be postponed on and on and on to other things around. So even just not me, even that is so enough to cultivate by just one, and then again and again and again, little by little, patiently, to know that this is the most precious moment in life, to understand what is now, even hardness. It is touch, but no thinking, no understanding that it's a reality at all. Just a reality like other reality, conditioned to be there, just to fall away and never be again at all. Only this can condition more understanding of what we are talking about as not I. Even Sila, what is it? Understanding, is it not Adi Sila, Adi Chitta, and Adi Panya? Not just only Sila. See, so we understand better and better about the worth of understanding, the valuable of understanding the truth as being heard from the teaching of the Buddha. It's just one word which can bring about a little more understanding of not me, no self. But no one can make it like this at all. But one day it can be the moment of its condition to just arise and think about that. And this is anatta by conditions. What about more than this? It can arise, it can happen by conditions when there are enough conditions for panya at that level arise. And this is the point of study Dhamma and understanding Dhamma. To be truthful to oneself, to the reality right now. That it has to be known, otherwise it's something from life to life. So it takes eons and eons to let go, the clinging to that as something or self. But it can be conditioned by understanding from moment to moment. So life is so natural, even right now. What is there? Panya can understand it. Just then, gone. No one, nothing, whatever is there. As something before is nothing.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. I'm glad that you could join us at the end, and thank you to everyone else for joining, and see you all next time.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you all tomorrow or next week. Bye-bye. Thank
you, John and Sarah.
Thank you, Betty.
Next week.